All right, all right. Just give me a minute just to get everything set up here. Boy, there's a lot to talk about tonight. I believe it's been maybe a week since I last did a stream, so this will be interesting. I'll just get everybody like 30 seconds just to get a notification. It's weird because even the people who are subscribed to you and put on the notification bell, even they sometimes don't get the notification, even if they're subbed and got the bell on. But anyway, we'll get into the stream. So one thing I thought was weird when I went on StreamYard to log in, right? And it was telling me, like, a message popped up at the top, and it caught me off guard. It said, "We will lose access to your YouTube account," and then it lists how many days, and it said in about 27,480 days. It's like, wait, what? 27,000 days? Shit, I haven't even been alive for 27,000 days. I'm not even gonna do the math on how many years that is, but I haven't even been alive for 27,000 days, right? So it's like, shit, why are y'all giving me a warning that, like, what is that? Like, what, 24, 25 years in the future that they're gonna lose access to my accounts? It's like, well, what the hell's the point of telling me that now? You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, like, how is that relevant? Right? You're gonna come back when I'm 50 and tell me that now you lost access. It's like, what the hell? So either it was a damn glitch, or I don't know how the hell that makes sense. And then it's like, well, second of all, regardless of the days, it's like, even if it was just 200 days away, how the hell would y'all know that you're gonna lose connection 200 days from now? Shit, is YouTube or StreamYard shutting down or something that I don't know about? But I just found that was weird. It's like, what the hell? Telling me that in 27,500 days, they're going to lose access to my YouTube account. It's like, what the hell? Shit, at that point, who the hell knows? Christ might even have returned before that. You know what I'm saying? Tell you one thing for damn sure, though, that World War III is definitely going to happen way before 27,000 days. So I don't get what that bullshit was about. So I see Rudy down there in the chat. Which I'll bring up that whole bullshit with dogs in a little bit, but I already had stuff planned that I wanted to talk about. And also, there was one of these dudes in the comment section yesterday. It was funny. I got a comment. It was like, I believe it was like in the middle of the day or something, maybe like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., something like that. This dude, Pathways, which was like one of Perry Green's cult members, a dude put up a comment and said, please, 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 could you go live right now so we can talk? And I was like, hey, man, I'm planning on going live maybe tonight or tomorrow night. Just stop by then and come on. It's like, I don't mean to be rude or nothing like that, but it's not like, I can just drop what I'm doing at any given time just to go live when you have the chance to do so. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you again? You have like what, 20 subscribers and one video on your channel? You know what I'm saying? Again, not that mine's too big or anything like that, but I'm just saying, it's like, why should I have to drop everything that I'm doing and just on any random afternoon when you decide to join for a discussion? It's like, why should I have to drop everything I'm doing to go and do that with you? It's like, wouldn't it be easier, just like the 200 other people that joined my panel throughout the years? Wouldn't it be easy to just see my channel, click the bell notification, and then the chances are you'll get notified whenever I do a stream? Or if you're even more paranoid that you miss it, just check every night. I usually do the streams at like what, 12 or 1 a.m. It's not going to be much later than that where I would already be live. So again, it's not really hard to find me. And it's funny because then you'll have some of these other, knucklehead, peons, such as this dude, fat ass dogs. We'll just call him dogs to keep it simple. You know, people like that. Yeah, what would I want to say? Shit, now it fled my mind. Oh yeah. What they'll do there is they'll sit there and say, "Oh, such and such is running from a discussion," or it's hard to find you. It's like, well, dude, you do know where my channel is. You know I do streams like what, maybe 2 times a week usually. I was like, again, it's not hard to find where I'm at, right? It's not hard to find my channel, to find my live streams. Well, even though I'm shadow banned, it's still, possible to find it. You know what I'm saying? If you know what you're looking for. So again, I don't get this whole thing about how people say, oh, such and such, run from a discussion. It's like, no, nobody's run from a discussion. You want to talk, click the link. You can contact me at my Gmail, set something up. You can even contact me on Discord. That's publicly available. So again, I don't get it. It's just these guys are just lazy and you know, they want everything served to them on a silver platter, just like this dude Pathways. You know what I'm saying? It's very pathetic. Hey, I hope you're doing well. But yeah, it's a lot of shit going on right now, man. And then this whole thing, you just had the election that just took place yesterday. Me and Galapagos, we were chatting on Discord, like typing back and forth about it this earlier tonight about, yeah, these people out here, man, these people will accept anything, right? And then, like say for instance, like Trump gets into office, he'll say he'll do all these things like we saw from 2016 to 2020, and he didn't fulfill his promises. So what the hell makes you think he's going to get in there and do it this year? Right. And again, it doesn't matter who gets in, whether it's Kamala, Biden, Trump, or anybody else. Regardless of who gets in there, they're not going to fulfill their promises to the people. They're trying to win your vote, well, quote unquote vote, because those of us in the know, we know that it's a selection, it's not an election. They just give you the feeling that you have a choice, a say in the matter. Because if you didn't, people might catch on to, you know what, wait, if we don't get a choice, isn't that like a dictatorship? Like we want to say in the matter. So they're giving you people a quote unquote voice to, say what you want and, try to, elect who you want in. But at the end of the day, it's a facade, right? The powers that be behind the scenes are putting into office who the hell they want in office. And that's just what it is. Like, you know what I find weird? Like, how can somebody claim to be a truther, right? That they know about all these secret societies, like the Freemasons, what people call Illuminati, um, you know, all these other secret groups, the Skull and Bone group, to name a few. And again, hell, Jay would be the one to talk about those groups. That's not my ballpark. I don't sit around and read books about that all day. But hey, if you want to learn about that, go ask him because he has more knowledge about it than I do. Um, but yeah, it's weird to me. Like, how could somebody who knows about these things, about these secret groups running the world behind the scenes, like, how could somebody think that it's just up to chance who becomes the president of the most powerful nation on earth? It just doesn't make sense. Obviously, the powers behind the scenes, they put in there who they want. And to pretend that it's different, that's just not logical. That's how a simple-minded civilian thinks. That's how an average, peon on the street thinks. Like yesterday, I watched what was this channel? I believe it was PBS News, right? PBS News. They were doing a live stream. I believe it was like 7 hours long, but it was at down in what was it, Clearwater Beach? Trump was doing like a whole rally down there. Like you had to pay to go to this one as a special one. As they said in the speech, it was going to be his last rally. So I didn't have anything to do at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just went on and watched that for an hour, right? So these people were standing out there in the cold and waiting for Trump to come on stage for like what, maybe 4 hours. It's funny. There's people sitting there cheering for this guy literally for 4 hours, and then the dude comes up on stage at literally 3 a.m. after we've all been sitting here waiting for this dude. Like shit, was um even I was sitting there watching the stream for an hour, just listening to the, news commentary as we wait for Trump to, prepare himself in the backstage, right? So the dude comes on at literally like 3 a.m. and delivers like maybe a 20-minute speech to the people. In fact, he got so bored, he brought up like even Elon Musk and his so-called space launches, right? He brought that up. And he really didn't bring up Kamala, though, surprisingly. And it was weird because he really didn't have a whole lot to say. And you could tell he was running out of things to bring up because he kept bringing like the 20 people he came out on stage with that are, like part of his whole group, right? Of bear with me a second. Yeah, his whole group. So he was bringing like people from the group to go on stage and speak, say what they want, to try to extend the speech for as long as he could, right? But yeah, that's really what it was, right? He spoke for like 20, 25 minutes tops, and that was the end. So these people were sitting there literally for 4 hours waiting for this dude to come out, and the dude literally is on there talking by himself for 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe, but half of the time, or damn near half the time of that, was other people that weren't Trump coming up to talk. And it was pretty weird. He also mentioned in it that this was his 900th rally. I was thinking to myself, like, damn, 900? How the hell, how the hell is it 900 rallies that this guy did? But, I can't fact check that or whatnot. But, that wouldn't that be funny if this last one, because this is his second term, so he won't ever be able to, run for office again, right? So this literally was the last one. So that would be ironic if it was exactly 900, but he could have just been overestimating. But I don't know. Let me see real quick. I see some good comments I'll get to. Oh, did he? Did he say that? That's what is it? That's on the back of the U.S. dollar, right? I believe it stands for out of many one, if I'm not mistaken. Right, but hell, that's interesting, man. I'll have to look into that. Rudy said it's all an illusion, yet Nick supports Trump. Yeah, man. And you know what I find funny? Like Rudy, you were just there. So here it is, Nick. And again, I would consider Nick to be a cool guy, but we definitely have our disagreements, right? But again, cool dude nonetheless. But the one thing I do find weird though, Rudy, is how is it that, Nick and Fat Ass Dogs are gonna sit up there on the stage and tell the audience, Trump this, Trump that. But then literally if you look in the comment section, like how me and you were up there, voicing our opinion on such and such matters. And then some of the people in the audience are like, well, we need some moderators in here so that we can, remove these guys. It's like, wait a second, aren't you guys pro Trump, pro freedom of speech? So why the hell are you trying to restrict people's freedom of speech in the comment sections if y'all are on here, pro Trump and pro freedom of speech? Like that doesn't make sense. That sounds very hypocritical, in my opinion. Look at that dude. Look, Jill, right? Jill said Trump 2024, make America a great country. As I said, man, I guarantee all the money I have, which is probably like maybe $13, something like that. All the money I have, I would bet that Jill is flying an American flag outside his house and multiple Trump um, flyers or signs. Hell, maybe even a Trump flag, something like that. Again, I guarantee all the money I have, if you go to this guy's house, he's flying, Trump merchandise around the outside. 100% guarantee. No doubt in my mind. But again, Jill's just a babbling buffoon. You know what? It's funny. I have a list over here of things I wanted to mention just so I didn't forget anything. And one of the things I had on there is I recently talked to this clown Jill. Hell, Jill is one of those type of jokers who belongs in the pair of clown shoes. Shit, give this dude a damn pair of rainbow croc shoes and a damn, spirit Halloween, um, Rudolph nose or something like that. That this dude's a damn clown. I mean, seriously. Let me see. Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But damn, 900 rallies from 2016 to 2024 doesn't seem like enough time in between there, man. But that again, that could just be my opinion. This person said, we'll call him Freddie, said, I'm not pro anybody. God appoints people in power to do his will. I see as bait and switch, and now we're going to be tiptoe to death instead of fast track. Yeah, I don't know, man. But one thing he did say I agree on, which that's a new face. I haven't seen that character here before. Hell, he probably found the stream because I put the word Trump in it, which is fair because I'm talking about Trump. Um, but one thing he said that is correct is about how God chooses. And that's true. If you read Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, it says, the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord, and as the rivers of water, he'll turn it at his will. Right? So God sets up kings and removes kings. Right? The seat of power is in God's hand to put over ruler who he wants. That's just what it is, right? God can bring one down and set one up. Just like when you read about ancient Babylon's downfall, right? After Nebuchadnezzar's son, what was his name, Belshazzar, took over. They were having that feast, drinking out of the holy vessels that they took from Jerusalem. I believe this is in Daniel the 6th chapter, if you want to read it. And then, that warning appeared on the wall and told them, this night, your kingdom's been taken from you, right? And then Darius, the kings of the Medes, right? The king of the Medes came over, Darius, and he slew him and took over the land, right? But God decided that that night that empire was going to be no more or fall under the hands of a new ruler, right? So an example of how God can set one up and bring one down. An interesting thing, because I've been talking about these whole preterist dudes recently, right? These dummies on the internet that think we're living in the kingdom, which is very bizarre, right? But one thing I thought about recently that's a great point against these dudes, if you read Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2, which this can tie back to Trump too. But if you read Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Did you catch that? It said, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in authority, the people are in mourning. And that's what we're seeing out here, right? Everybody in the society is in mourning. And it was no better under Trump, which, to be fair, I guess he did a little bit better than this joker Biden did, to be fair. But even back then, people were struggling, right? Like when in 2016, when I remember sitting there and watching Trump's inauguration in 2016. I was 14 years old in 2016. Or I remember even to this very day. What is that, like? What, 8 years ago? I remember sitting there on the sofa. I turned on the flat screen television. Like, this is one of the very, very rare times I turned on TV to watch it, and I turned to the inauguration that was had taken place, right? So I remember watching that, right? So let's see, what's the point I want to bring up? Yeah, so the point is, like, even then when Trump was in office, up until this joker Biden got in there, people were still suffering, right? The economy was still bad. People were doing bad. He still had, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homeless people on the streets. He still had families struggling to pay their bills. So again, the people were still in mourning under Trump the first time that he was in office. So nothing's going to change the second time. The truth is, it doesn't matter who gets in office, right? Whether we're talking about Kamala, Trump, or Biden, America is too far gone at this point. It comes a point like what is the overall debt of this country? I believe what isn't it like $32 trillion, if I'm not mistaken? You can look it up. It might even be like more than that right now. Last time I checked, it was like 32 trillion, and that was like what 5 months ago. I looked. So hell, it might have went up another 1 or 2 trillion. Who the hell knows? And that's bad, man. Like, what was it? Maybe a decade ago, it was only at like what 15 trillion. And it was only in the last couple of years that it shot up. And you can find the history of that on YouTube if you're interested. But it's all downhill from here. And it's just the reality of the situation. Like, one thing about me that you're not going to find from these other dudes on YouTube is I'm just going to spit the facts. I'm just going to say how it is. I'm just going to say the facts. The world is in a shitty situation, for lack of better terms, right? It's in a very bad situation. You have, the economies all over the world are in shambles. People can't afford to live. You got World War III opening up on multiple fronts right now, right? You have all these threats about a new, um, contractable, um, I gotta watch the word I use here because YouTube's a little fishy, right? But sickness, we'll say, that's coming soon, right? All these different variables, which again, I can't mention them all because YouTube doesn't allow you to say what you want without flagging you. So I got to be careful. But everybody can see what I'm saying. Let me see. This brother said if Trump stops importing gas and pumping local, excuse, oh yeah, pumping local, save some money there. Yeah, that could be so, man. That could hell, that could be a start, right? No, that's one of the least things they can start doing. Because these nations are becoming rich off of, as the Bible would say, right? They became drunk off of her fornication and waxed rich for the abundance of her delicacy. Right. When you read Revelation 18, it talks about all of the things that were imported from across the world, like all these ships, they brought these things into Babylon. It mentions all the things you can think of, furniture, corn, oil, wheat, flour, livestock, gold and silver, clothing, spices, anything you can think of, is being imported from around the world. Like even the stupid shit. Like I was at Walmart the other day and excuse background noise. I happened to look past the toy section because I had to get something near that area. And I just walked through to see what was on the shelves, right? And I was surprised. They have this whole brain rot, the skibbity toilet thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody made toys of that shit and is actually selling it. Like literally, I saw at Walmart. They had like a whole box that had like 25 skibbity toilet toys in it, and there's only two left. Right? The box said it came with like 25 different packs, or the way you could tell is like there were 25 slots where one would be, and there's only two left out of 25. It's like shit, people are actually spending $10 on this. That's bizarre to me. And that was one of the cheap one. I'm not even talking about the stuffed animals I seen or the mega toy they had. Right? The mega skibbity toilet that was like $25. It's like shit, people out here are buying that garbage. It's shocking to me. Triller said, I found it funny. World leaders on the other side of the world congratulate and stated they wanted to talk peace. Yeah, man. Um, I hear you. You know, there's a lot of shit going on right now. Hell, like we have, I believe it's North Korea that they sent like 12,000 troops over to Russia, you know, to aid them in their conquest over there. Right. So hell, now, you know, we see other nations starting to enter the fight. You know, it's only a matter of time until the Belarus, you know, army gets involved in that situation. Hell, you know, we're on borrowed time at this point, just as this dude, what's this cat, the Angry Pepper, right? The Angry Prepper, I call his ass the Angry Pepper. And this other dude, the Canadian Prepper, I call him the Canadian Pepper. You know, but these dudes, and you gotta give them credit, right? They've been saying for years and years at this point, man, that you know, we're on borrowed time at this point. And it's a fact, right? It's not really deniable that we're all on borrowed time right now. Hey, you know, and that's really the Lord's mercy right there, because God's given people some extra time to get right. You know, He's given people some time to, you know, repent and, you know, turn from their deeds and try to become righteous. You know, so people should take that opportunity. You know, even though, as it says in what is that, Second Peter 3:10 on down, that we're supposed to look for and hastening unto that day that the Christ comes back. Well, with that being said, you know, these times we have, right, where that's not happening yet, you know, every day is a chance for somebody to get right and, you know, actually, you know, turn from what they're doing. But those days are running short. Let me see real quick. You know, and it's funny, since we're talking about the world leaders, I'll bring this up. I mentioned I talked to Jill the other day on Jay Gee's channel. You know, which I don't really like to talk to Jill, but I joined it and that dude joined. I was like, oh shit, here we go again. You know, but I'm not gonna run from a discussion. If the cat joins, I'll have a conversation. You know, I'm not just gonna, you know, leave because the dude joins there, you know what I'm saying? But we had a conversation about the Edomites, right? And it was bizarre to me because he said the Edomites were still around today, which he's right on. But then it's like, well, wait a second, who the hell are they? Where the hell are they? And who the hell are they? Because the Bible says that in the end times the Edomites would have rulership on earth. Like if you read Second Ezra 6:9, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows." So the Edomites are going to be in power at the end times that we're in, which one proves they never went into a extinction. They still exist, and they would be the people that with much power on earth today. You know, so that was a, you know, pretty bizarre conversation. Oh, and then the dummy tried to say when you read Romans 9, um, you know, it's actually not talking about Jacob and Esau, but it's actually talking about like the unbelievers and the true believers. And then you know, I cut him to shreds because I asked him, it's like, okay, well, wait a second. If you start at verse 11, right, go up to verse 11, it says the children being not yet born. Wait, the children being not yet born, clearly, which by the way, it literally mentions their name. So we clearly know that it's talking about like two literal people. It's not talking about spiritual believers and, you know, sinners or something like that. It literally mentions the name of Jacob and Esau, and then it also mentions it goes back to the story in Genesis 25:25, right? It says the children being not yet born, right? So there you go. So clearly excuse me, um, Romans 9 is clearly talking about Jacob and Esau. It's not talking about um just Christians and unbelievers. That's not what it's talking about. And I mean, I completely refuted the dude on it, you know, and the dude will still go around and, you know, speak the nonsense he's saying. How you doing, Alfred? Alfred Gee, hope you're doing well. Yeah, earlier I dropped a little sweet treat for everybody, and I uploaded a conversation I did on what's his cat? Jamie? He calls himself Babble Off. Call him Babble On, which again the name's fitting because the dude does a whole lot of babbling, right? The dude does a whole lot of babbling, so it's quite ironic that the dude calls himself Babble On because that's all the dude does all day is just babble about things he doesn't know about. But I mean, I will say every time I go on there, for the most part, like maybe 90%, he is respectable with me. So I do got to give him credit. But there were some dudes on there that don't really know a whole lot. Like, shit, what was this dude, the first dude that was on there? What was this guy, Timmy or something like that? Yeah, we'll call him Tim. So, Tim was on there before I joined. Here's some context that you didn't get to see, right? This is what happened beforehand. So I went there and I was listening. I didn't get to join yet because I was, playing games at the time, right? Like on Xbox. So I was just listening into Jamie's live stream when he started, and you had him and another girl and you know, a couple people on there, right? So I was listening to Tim, and then I put a couple comments up, and then Tim was like, "Oh, polygamy is not in the Bible. That's like wicked and sinful, and all that." Then I put a couple verses up, and then that dummy Pathways was in the comments, the same dude I criticized at the beginning of this stream. Which look at that, where the hell is he at? He begged me to join, and you see his ass nowhere, right? But I digress. Um, but yeah, it was funny because Tim's on there talking shit on this guy's channel, and then I click the link maybe 30 minutes later because I told him I had to finish up what I'm doing. But I was listening the whole 30 minutes. The dude's on there talking smack, making jokes and oh, I'll disprove polygamy. He comes up here. It's easy to disprove. And then when I actually click the link, the guy leaves, but then he comes back 5 minutes later. And when I politely ask him, like, "Hey, man, you've been talking a lot of smack. Like, let's have a discussion." And the first thing the dude could say is, "Oh, well, if you're with getting multiple wives, maybe you should become Muslim." And I gave his ass the ultimate Uno reverse card, and I said, "Well, wait a second. Like, what is the whole point of making such a joke about that? It's like, did you know that there's multiple cultures on Earth that practice polygamy?" And the dude was absolutely confounded. Like he literally had to take like 10 seconds to figure what to say, because his ass didn't expect such a comeback, to absolutely embarrass him like that, right? It's funny. It's like, I call the dude out. It's like, well, why even make a joke about that? If even from your point of the argument, you even agree that people in the old times did it in the Bible. They weren't Muslim, right? So I mean, it's like the joke makes no sense, right? His joke makes no sense and made him just look like a dummy. It was hilarious. And then if you watch the discussion, right? Oh, I think the cat's name was Terry, but I'm just gonna call him Tim because now I'm accustomed to it, right? But the cat's name is Terry, but I'm just gonna call him Tim for short. So so the Tim guy was like, then in the discussion, I asked him, okay, well, like, what are any evidences that it's wrong? And the dude's like, oh, just one man, one woman. It's like, okay. I mean, again, you can believe that if you want, but you can't show book, chapter, verse where it's unlawful for a man to have more than one wife. And you even agree that happened in the Old Testament, right? Again, this dude had nothing, right? The dude had absolutely nothing. All he can do is say, well, this is bad. Okay, well, why is it bad? Next question. Like the dude didn't even think. The dude just said a couple words, and that's really as much as his cognitive ability was able to conjure up inside joke. It was hilarious to me. And then it was funny because even Jamie said later on, this guy, he has a lot to say. He's always talkative and got a lot to say. That was like shit. On Discord, this guy might be, talkative. He might be the talk of the town, but he is awfully quiet in here. He's the quietest one in here, which is true. I mean, an absolute, You know, oh damn, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh shit. Right, this dude was as damn silent as a mannequin. Oh man. Right, we'll call that dude Tim the mannequin, right? All the dude can do is basically sit there and has nothing to say. Just taking up space on stream, right? We'll call that dude Tim the mannequin. It was absolutely pathetic. And I kept it respectful with him. It's like, hey, look, man, you can believe what you want, but if you're gonna sit there and talk smack, actually know what you're talking about, right? Like, if I come up to have a conversation, I expect the person I'm talking to know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's like the dude literally didn't know one verse about the subject. It's like, again, you're welcome to disagree with what I'm saying. That's all cool. But, if you're gonna sit there and act all tough like you know something, you should know something. Seriously, it's like this is not hard. Like I'll give you an example. Like if I call into an atheist stream, I expect them to know a Christian's point of argument, so they might be familiar with it. If I call into a Muslim stream, I'm gonna know it. They'll be knowledgeable on the topics that I bring up. It doesn't mean they're right with what they're saying, of course, but they'll know something about the subject, right? But this dude, Tim the mannequin, the dude doesn't really know anything, and he even admits that. Oh, well, well, I don't really know. Like the dude literally said that. Hilarious. Yeah, yeah. Fred put up a good comment here. I agree with. Fred said the Bible warns about issues with two wives, but not against Torah. Right, absolutely. And that's what I was telling these jokers on Jamie's stream. That of course, if you have more than one wife, it could there could be issues with that. Right? Like hell, some men might have a hard time, arguing with one woman every day. But it's certainly not unlawful if you get two. And I clearly proven that claim. Like, say, for instance, right? Like, if it was against the Bible, you wouldn't see laws, guidelines about if a man gets more than one wife, like in Deuteronomy 21:15, Exodus 21:10. It literally wouldn't say, if a man has two wives, he has to do this and that. It will come out and say, thou shalt not have two wives. You know what I'm saying? But again, these guys just can't think. And then Nick challenged me to do a discussion about polygamy because, he hosted the one I did with Caden like what 2 weeks ago. So he wanted to do a discussion about that, which again I'm open to doing that. That's all cool. But hell, he's gonna get rocked though. I'm not gonna take it easy on him. It's gonna be so easy to prove, but I can already see one major point of disagreement though, right? There's already one massive point of disagreement. Because what they were saying is he's just going to go off the New Testament and show it in the New Testament where it's not allowed. But the whole disagreement is that when we use the Bible, we have to use the whole thing, all 80 books, right? Old Testament, Apocrypha, New Testament. We have to go from all the way from Genesis, all the way down to the Maccabees, all the way down to the Revelation, right? That's God's inspired word. And all of it is useful for doctrine and interpretation. So it wouldn't be proper or correct to just have a debate about what Bible teaches and just use like four books out of it. Like that's not how you have a discussion about the Bible. Like say for instance, that would be as foolish as somebody saying, "Well, I believe in the Bible, but only the red letters." It's like, okay, well, you know that you got to throw, even if you just go by the New Testament, right? Because that's the only place you find the red letters. Even if you went by only the red letters, you still have to throw out like, what, like 50%, if not more, of the New Testament. So again, you can't just say you go by the red letters, just like you can't say you just go by the New Testament. Because even Jesus said that he comes in the volume of the book, right? He comes from the whole volume of the Bible. And what did they have in Christ's time when he was walking the earth? I hate to burst your bubble, But when Christ was walking around, he didn't have a New Testament because they were living out the stories that we read about in the New Testament. Like that's written of them. So what they read was what was before them, all Genesis all the way to all the books in the Apocrypha. That was accepted as the canon back then, right? That was accepted as the inspired word of God. That's what they had at that time. They didn't have no New Testament, right? So when Christ taught and learned, he learned out of the New Testament. I mean, excuse me, the Old Testament. My bad. He learned out of the Old Testament. And I don't get how this is like so difficult for people to grasp. So again, I'm willing to do the conversation with Nick. That's all cool, but I just find it to be a little bit dishonest if we're just going to stick to the New Testament because the the what place we find the law is in the Old Testament, right? So how the hell could we just stick to the New Testament if even Christ quotes the Old Testament? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not debating correctly. Fred said, I know the Bible very well, just pretty bad with memory of chapter and verse. Yeah, I hear you. I forget you asked a question. Quick question, ETT. When's the Sabbath? Is it on the Saturday or the lunar? The best thing I could say is that it would be wise in this time to go by the cycle of the moon because in reality we don't know what day of the week it is, right? Because if you do the research on like the modern day calendar, what is it? Aren't we going by the Gregorian calendar, right? There was a Julian calendar and a Gregorian calendar. And each of them differed from one another, right? Even like right now, there's some months out of the year that have different days in it, right? Like damn, I wouldn't know the days of each month off the top of the head, but if you do a Google search for the calendar, you're gonna find out that there's some months that have like 28 days out of it, 30 days, and then you'll find out that there's other months that might have 31 days. Like what was it? October had 31 days, right? But this month probably has 30 days in it. So again, truly, we don't really know what day it actually is throughout history. So it wouldn't be a wise idea to just say it's every Saturday or every Sunday because in reality, we don't know what day it actually is because the days of the week are just a man made custom. And by the way, here's a fun fact: the days of the week are actually named after like gods, right? Like pagan gods. Like I'll give you an example. Sunday, obviously named after the sun. Saturday, named after Saturn. Um, I wouldn't know all of them off the top of the head, but you can easily do a Google search and it should give you some information about the days of the week and about the deities that they were named after. But again, that would be my perspective on it. But I used to be a 7-day Adventist, and I also went to the Catholic Church. So again, I've been in and been through these churches throughout my life. I've been again, I've been a believer for 10 years now, which just a side note, I will be doing my 10th year anniversary stream probably next week or something like that. I gotta, just get some time together to go and do that. But I'm gonna explain like the whole story about like how I came into the truth, the people, that I've been friends with along the way, such as, Rock Upon Him, Kyle, um, Vigilant, what is this guy, Loving Christian? Um, Ridge Napper, um, Jay, all these other dudes out there, right? Hell, some of those names, some of y'all might not even know. The only one that's recognizable is Jay and Ridge. A lot of people don't know who Rock is. A lot of people don't know who Kyle is. Those used to be some of my buddies back in the day that I used to do streams with early on. those dudes, unfortunately, are, well, hell, Kyle's nowhere to be found. The last time I talked to Kyle was, in 2020, right? When this whole Corolla thing first started. That was the first time I mean, the last time I talked to Kyle, excuse me. And then since then, I believe he might have got his number changed or something like that. So I try to contact him on YouTube, but I've had no luck. But hopefully he's doing okay because he lives in like a third world country, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of stuff going on where he's at. So, hopefully he's doing all right. As far as Rock goes, um, I haven't spoken to Rock on the phone in probably 3 years. And by the way, Rock is one of the only dudes on here I know in real life. Like we literally used to go to church together, and we literally did met up and did a whole discussion for YouTube, right? Like you can find that on my channel. Me and Rockapod and met up and did a discussion. But out of all these dudes on here, just me and Rock know each other in real life. And, I do technically have one other friend that comes by once in a great while that I know in real life, but he's not a usual over here, right? Like I have a buddy named Mark I've been friends with since I was 9 years old. So yeah, again, he technically comes on here. So I guess I had to include him, but it's once in a very great while. He's both basically one of those friends that I just play games with on the weekend or something, not really somebody I get into religious content about. But I'll tell you this, he's a Jew, right? So he would be one of these, like people in Israel, right? So we totally disagree on that, because we don't believe that those are the real people. We believe that, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are actually the lost tribes of Israel, not the 1948ers in Israel. That's our teaching on it over here. So, that would be a point of disagreement with him. But, we don't really get into that. We learn to, respectfully, agree to disagree. With some people, that's good to do, right? With some people, it might be reasonable to just respectfully disagree. Like, I'll give you an example, right? When I go downtown, I usually run into Jehovah Witnesses. And if I ever talk to them, I try to record it, but you got to try to like hide the recorder or make it look like you're not. So, because they'll get, paranoid and won't want to talk to you, and stuff like that, right? But whenever I do discussion with the Jehovah Witnesses, even though we totally disagree as far as the scriptures, it doesn't need to be, yelling at each other and causing a scene out there on the streets, right? You can just respectfully have a conversation. You're like, what do you guys think about this and this verse? Hey, I might see it this way, but hey, I accept your viewpoint, and keep it friendly. There's no reason to cause a scene out there. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Um, well, I'll say this. There's a lot of animals that take a rest on certain days, but that wouldn't reflect the Sabbath just on what animals are doing. Hell, like say for instance, there's animals that hibernate for months on end, like bears, right? That doesn't the sun doesn't or moon doesn't have to do with that. They hibernate. Well, technically, that has to do with seasons, right? That's the reason why they might hibernate, right? The bears hibernate to get out of the cold. Yeah, Fred. You know, again, you're welcome to that view, man. Over here I see it differently, but again, it's not something to get into heated argument about, if you know what I'm saying. Let me see real quick. Another thing I wanted to talk about are these the police and soldiers, right? Now, I'm going to tell you this, right? I'm going to tell you this. If you are actively on the force or actively in the army, well, you really can't serve the Lord if you're in that. Because remember, Christ said that you can only serve one master. You'll love the one and you'll hate the other. Now, somebody that's unlearned, they might say, well, what do you mean by bringing this up? Well, it's very simple. When you become a officer or a soldier, you make an oath to the United States and to, uplift its laws and regulations and defend the country at all costs. Very similar whether it's a police or a soldier. Even though in the papers they have to sign, it might list a little bit differently depending on their job. But at the end of the day, it's still them signing their allegiance to the United States, right, to the government. So the governments in the Bible are referred to as principalities, right? Like hell, like even in Jeremiah, I believe it's 51:25, it calls a nation a mountain, right? A government, or other words, a nation, a mountain, right? A deity, right? So when you take up these offices, you're pledging your allegiance to these entities. Like say for instance, like a police officer, they have when they show up to a house for like a distress call or whatever the situation might be. They don't bring out the Bible and say, well, let's look what it says about this matter so we can properly judge it. No, they say, well, in this territory, the rules are this and this, so we handle it this way. So again, you can't really be a police officer and claim you're of God. That logically doesn't work because you throw God's word to the side and defend what this deity called US government says. So if you're actively on the force or actively in the US Army, you can't be saved. In fact, in the end times, you're going to fight against Christ. When you read Revelation 19, it says, I saw the beast and the kings of the earth, and they were all gathered with their armies to fight against the Christ. Right? Hell, you're going to be part of that if you're around during that time. And you have to go. If you sign the agreements, you have to go where they deploy you. You don't get a say in the matter. You got to do what your paperwork says, right? So again, if you're actively in there, then you can't serve the Lord. You would be an enemy. Now, I will say this. I will say this though. It is possible for a person to come out of that and then be righteous. But while you're actively on the force or actively serving in the army, you can't be righteous. By Christ's own words himself, you'll love one master and you'll hate the other. If you pledge your allegiance to the United States, you stand for its moral values. And you are basically spitting in the face of Christ. Remember that. You can only serve one master. You cannot serve two. You can't serve the US government and serve the God of the Bible at the same time. You cannot do that. So, if somebody, say for instance, if somebody in the past might have been on the force and now they're retired, that person could receive salvation because they're no longer pledged their allegiance. They did their time and it's up. Or somebody who might have been in the army for 20 years and now retired from that. They could be saved, right? Because now they're um, no longer in that position, right? Their paperwork is already expired and they're out of that. They're no longer in it. Right. So, again, can a police or a soldier be saved? The answer is while they're currently in duty or on duty, no. But if they repent and are retired from that, then yes. That's my answer for that. Let me see real quick. Fred said, when I say I'm a native Jew and was adopted to Jews, and yet my tribe is from the lost tribes, I'm a follower of Christ. Yeah, I see the Bible as a family history book and what not to do. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And that's how we view the Bible, right? We view the Bible as history, about how we got to this current position where we're at and about guidelines, right? The Bible gives us guidelines on how to live. Like, I'll give you an example, right? Like, there's a relative of mine that, I'm not gonna get into the whole situation, but I have to go see this dude like every couple weeks for something, right? And every time I'm there, or whenever there's company, the dude's like, well, yeah, man, maybe you should, trim that beard up a little bit. Maybe you should, maybe you should trim that, right? Looking like, a, oh, what are these dudes? Looking Amish with that, he said. And I was like, hey, look, man, the reason why I have my facial hair the way I have it, and this picture is outdated. My hair is thicker than this now, right? Um, reason I have it how I have it is because the Bible says that, right? And I gave him the verse, right? What is that? Leviticus 19:27, right? We're not supposed to shave our facial hair. So I gave the dude that, and the dude's like, oh, well, I'm a Christian, but I still shave, I still eat pork. I wasn't really going to get into an argument with dudes because, again, I know the dude. It's not like just a random guy on the street. I have to come back and see the dude multiple times, right? And, if it happens again, I'll just say, hey, look, that's my view, religious reasons. Hey, if you see it differently, you're welcome to see it differently. There's many different, views about, Christ and about what he taught. Um, And yeah, but those of us over here, like on my page and, other Hebrew Israelites, we teach their obedience towards God and his commandments. So, say if I was to completely shave my beard off, that would be a sin for me to do that, right? Or I'll give another example. Like if there's a dude who, hell, like I'll give this example, right? The ISUPK headquarters, which is like an hour away from where I'm at. If they have a dude literally go there and wear like a pink, dress up, woman's outfit, they'll kick his ass to the curb. Why? Because that's in the law. I believe that, what is that? If I'm not mistaken, that's Deuteronomy 22, verse 5, right? A woman should not put on a man's apparel, and a man should not put on woman's apparel. Right. So if somebody showed up doing that, we'd tell him, "Hey, you better check yourself, man, because you're in sin. You're in sin for doing that." It's like if you shave your facial hair out, you're in sin. Same thing with tattoos. If you claim to be a Christian and go get a tattoo, then you're in sin. It tells you in Leviticus 19, what is that? I believe it's 28, right? Leviticus 19:28. It says that thou shalt not make any markings on your flesh for the dead, nor print any markings in the flesh, nor print anything upon your flesh. Some people try to make the argument and say, oh, it's only talking about, doing these things for the dead. Because, like, in some cultures, they might, like, do tattoos or, might, get something surgically done to them in, like, remembrance of a loved one or something like that. Um, Hell, like I'll give an example. Like there might be some Amazon tribe that I've seen documentaries on where they might take like a bone of their loved one and they might like pierce their nose with it, right, and wear it as like a nose piece. Again, you can look this up, but that would be sin to do that, right? That would be sin. Or I'll give you another example. There's some tribes like over in Africa or the Amazon, and what they do with one of their loved ones when they die. And this is gonna sound pretty weird, but this is what they do. What they'll do is they'll take like the ashes of that person and they'll like mush it up with some banana and make like a paste out of it, and then all the members of the household will eat that, right? Containing the ashes of their loved one. Again, you can look this up to validate what I'm saying. That would be a sin to do that. That would be a sin, right? But that's what those people practice. That's the tradition they hold. Or I'll give you another example. Let's see. Well, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. Hell, that's enough of my example. This is actually a really good question. Alfred Gee asked, Suicide, would it be under thou shalt not kill? What's the law against it? Well, you know, recently, Captain Cesariak received a call from a mother who recently lost her child due to that, and I think he addressed the question very good. Now, the answer to that question is it would not fall under that. However, it's certainly not something that we're supposed to do, right? But it wouldn't be a sin if somebody did it. Like here's something you might not know. In the Christian community, there's a belief that if a person takes their own life, it's a sin that will damn them to hell. Like literally, they believe this in some Christian circles. That if a person takes their life, that's like a sin that will automatically damn them to hell. And that's not certainly not true. First of all, the Bible teaches we all go to the same place when we die. So again, if somebody did take their own life, it's certainly not a good thing, but we couldn't necessarily call it sin because we don't see where it says that it can't be done. But it's certainly, I guess, for lack of better terms, it's strongly spoken against, would be a good word to put it. Right? Spoken against, but there's not an exact verse that mentions that this exact thing is a sin. But I can give examples in the Bible where it happened. Like I'll give an example, like King Saul, when he was in that battle, he fell upon his own sword, right? That mean, he took his own life in that battle. Or Judas, right after he betrayed Christ, and he gave back the what was it, the 30 shekels of silver. He gave it back to the priest, and he went out and died too. So again, there's not book chapter verse that calls that sin, but according to what we read in the Bible, it's something spoken against. But again, I can't label it as sin because I would be adding to the law because there's not book chapter and verse that mention it as being sin, but it's certainly frowned upon. Let me see. This brother said it's taken me 45 years to grow a full beard, but you're native. Yeah, I hear you, man. I've been growing my facial hair. Believe this or not, or believe this or not. I've been growing my beard since I was like 15, and I've never shaved it once, right? Never shaved it once. The only thing I've ever done was maybe pluck one or two, like two times um the length hairs, right? So if you get a couple really long hairs once in a while, you can pluck those from your beard. That's not against the law to do. But what would be against the law is if you were to shave your hair completely off. That would be against the scriptures to do that. But not to pluck like, two or three overgrown hairs that you might have. Let me see. I'm not sure what the MAID program is, but I think you're talking about I think I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but I don't know the name of the organization. Um, but yeah, with that, if it's what I'm thinking about, then I would say that they're going off for assisting in that. Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that there's actually people out there like paying $250,000, and what they're doing is they're like freezing these guys, like they're putting them in like tanks. I'm not sure the exact fluid that these guys are using, but they're keeping their bodies like frozen in the hopes that like maybe 200 years in the future, they might be able to have a technology to re-alive these people. So these, wealthy people are literally paying 250 grand to get their bodies put into these very cold tubes when they pass away in the hopes that they might be able to come back when they get the technology in like 100, 200 years in the future. You can look it up on YouTube. You probably get the videos of what I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah, that Fred, that's what I was saying. Um, I know that's what you're talking about. Just didn't know the name of the program. But yeah, I would say that would be going off. Let me see. I'm just looking at something. Just bear with me. Hey, how you doing, Luke? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, just bear with me for a second. I'm just overlooking something to my side here. If anybody got a question or comment, you're welcome to put that up. I'll address you in a second. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing another video soon on this whole this whole rapture thing, right? Because all of these different different schools of thought out here among like Christian communities. Like I'll give an example. Like I used to go to a Catholic school, right? Like literally everybody in the school was a Catholic and I was a Seventh-day Adventist, right? And I was having a conversation with one of them one time and the topic of the rapture came up, right? And I was talking about, oh, Mark of the Beast, this, that. And the person was like, oh, well, we're really not going to be here, in that time, so we don't really have to worry about it, because this rapture is going to happen, and take us all away. But even back in school, I knew that was bullshit, right? Even back in school, I knew that was clearly a fairy tale, because again, the Bible makes it very clear. Like all you literally need is like two verses on it. Matthew 24:29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the Son of Man will be revealed, and then he'll send his angels to gather together his elect. That one verse alone completely refutes it. Because how the hell could y'all say that it's in the middle of the tribulation or before the tribulation if the Bible literally just said after the tribulation, the Son of Man's going to be revealed and send his angels to gather together his elect? And then if you read verse 21 and 22 in the same chapter, it says that, for the sake of God's elect, he's going to shorten those days, right? For the sake of the elect, he's going to shorten those days. And I'll even give you a bonus one. This is the bonus right here. Like if you read, what is that, Revelation, the 6th chapter, where John sees the great multitude in white robes. He asked the angel, who are these people? And the angel told John, these are they who came out of the great tribulation. These are they who came out of great tribulation. Wait, these are they who came out of great tribulation? Well, I thought, according to these guys, are going to get taken away before that. So how the hell could they come out of it? Yeah, that's a hard hitter right there. Fred said the rapture happens just before the day of the Lord. Um, well, I'd say if you read the scriptures, I would say that's not so. To say, for instance, the day of the Lord is one event, right? When Christ comes back, all these events are going to unfold that one day, right? The rapture is going to happen on that day, and then Christ is going to go around and judge the world. He's going to bring his judgment down upon these nations. And he's going to physically be here. That's why when you read Revelation, the 6th chapter, it said, I saw the kings of the earth and the wealthy men and the poor men. They hid themselves in the mountains and the cliffs and said to the rocks of the mountains, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. So again, it's a physical thing that's going to happen, right? And this is going to happen all on one day. Notice it said the day of the Lord. It didn't say the days of the Lord. It says the day, like as in singular, right? Just one. And as far as when that day is going to happen, nobody knows that. Hell, even Christ said he doesn't know, neither did the angels know. But yet somehow these idiots on YouTube go around. I'm not talking about Fred here. I'm talking about there's idiots on the internet who make videos and tell people, okay, look, this day the rapture is going to happen, or my predictions say that on January the 30th, it's going to happen, right? Or February the 6th, it's going to happen. Time after time after time after time, people make these predictions. I'll give you another one. Literally for as long as I remember, since 2015, which is 9 years ago. Let me say it again. 2015, 9 years ago, I remember watching multiple people on YouTube, specifically pointing my finger at still small voice Claire. And they were still going around back then saying, oh, rapture's going to happen on September 23rd. Right? September 23rd will be the day of the rapture. It's like, well, how the hell do y'all know that? And then second of all, it's like, why the hell are y'all still going around in 2024 on September 23rd saying that something unbelievable is going to happen if literally for a decade now it didn't happen? You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, first of all, who the hell came up with it on September 23rd? And, they got all these different theories, right? Some people say it's going to be alignment with the moon. Some say Christ is going to come back. Some say rapture is going to happen. Some think that CERN's going to open up a portal. Some think that who the hell knows, right? Who the hell knows the iceberg? Uh, Shout out to anybody who knows what I'm talking about. Who knows the iceberg that you could make about a September 23rd theories? Like somebody should tell Snook about that. Right, this dude Snook on YouTube, look him up, look him up. He got like 300, what was it, like 300,000 subs? And does like these iceberg videos. And he actually gave me a shout out in one of his videos because I recommended an iceberg to him. These dudes run out of ideas, right? So they were like, somebody give us an idea for a future iceberg video. Gave the guy like 20 options, and of course the dude picked the most least exciting iceberg idea I put out there because the guy's like into world history and wars and stuff like that. I was like, well, you haven't done one about the Cold War yet, so why don't you do one of that? But that was like the least one I would be excited about out of the 20 examples I gave. But lo and behold, of course, he picked that one, right? So the dude gave me a shout out in his video, so that's all cool. Let me see. Fergie said, have you read the verse where it says the sun will turn to black? How can that happen? I wonder if it means the sun will turn black as an actual Christ will be revealed. Um, as far as I know, when it talks about the sun and the moon, right, it says that, well, it would depend on what one you're talking about, because I know in Revelation, it talks about, certain things with the sun, and then in Matthew 24 talks about the sun being blackened. Right? So it would just depend upon what verse is in questioning. Right? I would say sometimes it could be parabolic. In other terms, it could literally happen. Like again, in this enclosed model that the Bible teaches, the sun and the moon, they give off their own individual light, right? So hell, if God can hold the sun still for an entire day, just like he did in Joshua 10:12, I guess if God wanted, he could technically turn that light off for a week if he wanted to. Same thing with the moon. Because again, they're reflecting their own light source. It's not the sun reflecting onto the moon and the moon reflecting the sunlight. That's just man made garbage. That's not according to the Bible. Like when you read Genesis, it said he made two great lights. Didn't say he made one light to reflect off the other. That's not in there. It said like how the Hebrews are bringing out now. I'm not sure what you mean by that. This brother said, "Will Trump help the Jews build a third temple?" Um, well, I'll say this, man. When you talk about third temple, as far as I can tell, I don't think it's going to be like a physical thing that's going to be built up. Otherwise, where the hell? If that's the case, it's gonna. How many years is that going to take for them to build up another temple? So we may as well say that we're not in the end times yet. If they still have to, get the permits and all that. Because let me tell you, son, there's a church over there that has like five different congregations that are like part of it, and they can't even if they want to do any change to it, they have to all be in agreement. If one of them says no, they can't do it. And there's a ladder that they have on the outside of it. Again, look this up on YouTube. Look up 1800s Jerusalem ladder, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And this ladder has literally been up on the deck outside the window of one of these churches for literally like what 250, maybe about 300 years, and they can't remove it because none of the sides will agree on it, right? None of the sides will agree to it. So say hypothetically, if four of them said let's remove it and the fifth says no, then they can't remove it because they all have to be in agreement, right? So I bring this up to say, if it's in such if it's that bad over there where people can't be in agreement, you got the Muslims going against the Christians about these holy sites and all that. If they can't even agree on this stuff, like how the hell are they going to come together and build a third temple? If there's all these, riots, hell, just Israel's at war right now, right? So they're not really concerned with building another temple right now, So that would be my view on it. Like hell, man, Israel's at war on all fronts right now. You got Gaza situation, you have the Iran, you have Lebanon, again, hell, the Houthi rebels, you know, they're getting hit at all sides right now. So I think the building of another temple right now is the least of their priorities. Brother said the day of the Lord is a event after reference of gathering the elect. Um, Hold on a second. Yeah, man. All I can tell you on it is that when we read, like, all you gotta do is read Matthew 24, and it talks about what that day when the Son of Man is revealed, then he's gonna send his angels to gather together his elect. So we see the Son of Man gets revealed, and then he sends his angels. So that would be the day of the Lord, and a good way to back it up is if you read Revelation 1:7, it says he comes with clouds, and every eye will see him. Right, all eyes are gonna see him when he comes back. Right? So if the first time Christ is coming back, then he gathers the elect, well, everybody sees him then. So that's the day of the Lord right there. Again, like nobody can show where it's a second day of the Lord. Like say for instance, some believe in something called a secret rapture. This is another doctrine that like at any moment out of the blue, like millions of people are just gonna like disappear. Hell, their clothes are gonna be left, but they're gonna be gone, right? I think you see this depicted in all these Hollywood movies, right? But that's not true, right? That's not true. It's not going to happen secretly out of the blue on some random Sunday morning or something like that. Now, why it is true, nobody knows the exact day. That part is true. But the Bible does say that after the tribulation, this day is going to happen. So, hell, why I don't know what day it's going to happen. One thing I can rest assured knowing is that it will only happen until after the tribulation, right? So, again, we're teaching that Christ is coming back soon, but with that being said, that doesn't mean he's coming back tomorrow or on a Thursday evening. Hell, that would be a good thing, but according to the Bible, it's not going to happen like that. Because even though it doesn't tell us the day, It tells us that it won't happen until such and such thing take place. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, something that has to happen beforehand is Revelation, the 16th chapter, right? The seven last plagues that are poured out upon the earth. That has to happen first until Christ can come back. So there won't be any rapture taking place until after the seven last vials of wrath are poured upon the earth. And you can read that in Revelation, the 16th chapter. And that certainly hasn't happened yet. I mean, we're in, as Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21 call it, they say the birth pains, right? We're in birth pains right now. The world is experiencing those birth pains, right? Things that haven't been seen before are taking place. Weird events, strange events are taking place around the world. But that's not the wrath poured out yet. We haven't experienced that yet. So you have to do a sacrifice now. Um, no, hell, as far as I know, how long has it been since there was a sacrifice over there, man? They're not doing any animal sacrifices in Israel anymore. Because first of all, the holy site there, right? What is it? A Dome of the Rock? Um, that's a holy site right there. If somebody went in there, let's give a hypothetical scenario, right? If some group went in there and actually performed like a animal sacrifice on top of the holy rock in there, that would that could spark a civil war over there. Like all jokes aside, right now, you thought October 7th was bad. If somebody goes and does something like that, we're talking about something 10 times worse. Because people will be up in arms about that, both from the Christian side, the Islamic side. The Jews might go along with that, but people will be pissed off and ready to fight if something like that happens. Because again, you got to remember the Dome of the Rock has significant, spiritual importance among many different beliefs, right? For Christianity, um, Jewish belief, and Islam. Hell, and there might even be a few others out there that might in some way hold to it. But those are the top three that hold to it, right? Because you got to remember inside of it, it's a rock in there that is believed that Abraham offered up Isaac as that sacrifice in Genesis 22. It's believed that that took place on that rock that's being held inside the Dome of the Rock, right? That's part of the importance. And then also from the Islamic side, from what I know, is they believe that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven from off of that rock, right? So that's just so you know from a couple different perspectives, right? That's the significance of that area, right? Obviously, the Muslims, they're for that site because they believe Muhammad ascended from there, and the Christians and the Jewish people, they believe that Abraham was going to offer Isaac there, right? So, and hell, there's more history behind it other than that, but that's just one good example to show some of the importance of that area. Let me see. Well, that great city in Revelation 11 is talking about America, right? Like if you read, what is that? Revelation 11:8, it says there is a great city spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? So spiritually Sodom and Egypt, that's the United States today. That's not talking about Jerusalem. And some people get tripped up though, because if you read under it, it says where also our Lord was crucified. Christ was crucified in Jerusalem, but he's spiritually being crucified every single day over here. So again, there's spiritual aspects of it. And to prove that, all you got to do is read above. It says that city that is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord is crucified. So if the city is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, why would the part when it says was crucified is not spiritual, right? Because every day Christ is being spiritually crucified over here. Let me give you an example. Like on January 20th, this in 2025, when Donald Trump is inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States, he's going to have to swear an oath upon the Bible. And then after that, they're going to basically throw the Bible to the side and spit in Christ's face. And to even mock it even further, they're going to go into a church, right? They're going to go into a church, and Trump's supposedly going to have the power over all these legislations and all this. It's like, well, wait, if he's really a man of God, if he's, trying to follow the Bible, why would they let this country get away with all the wickedness it's doing? Like, I'll give an example. Um, with rainbow marriage, God clearly said that's a no-no. But guess what? Trump's not going to do anything about it. In fact, I guarantee you, when Pride Week comes, he's still going to have the White House decorated in Pride colors. Absolutely guarantee it, right? Just like Biden did, right? So Christ is being spit on every day over here, right? In God we trust. Again, they put that on the money, right? In God we trust, but then you have the all-seeing eye on the back, right? They'll say it's a nation under God, but then nothing they do reflects the God of the Bible. So again, Christ is being spit on every day. In any of these churches, they put an image of this white guy up there with long flowing hair like a woman. That's not in the Bible. Where the hell is that at? Bible says that Christ had dark skin and he had wool-like texture hair. If you read Revelation 1:14, that's not what Christ looked like according to the Bible, what these churches show. So hell, you literally got people out here like Brother Polite, right? That's what he calls himself. I ain't calling him a brother. Inside joke, right? But Brother Polite, that dude's going out there literally shooting the Bible up. Like what, 10 years ago, he went out there, took the Bible to a shooting range and literally shot the Bible up with a pistol. Nothing happened to him for that. Like again, if the Bible was the law of the land, he should have been executed for that, or at least put in prison for life for doing that to the holy book. But guess what? That dude walked, for a decade free on the street until he broke one of America's laws. And then they locked his ass up. Right? So again, Christ is being spiritually crucified every single day over here in this country. Like, I'll give you another example, just an average peon on the street. Like, I was walking downtown, and, out of all the places around for somebody to take a piss at, right, this dude literally went behind the church and peed on the church. It's like, wait, what? It's like, you mean to tell me out of the 50 other buildings over here, and then including the park and with the bike path, you have to pick the church to take a piss on? Like, wow, that's pretty pathetic. Right? So even these people out here, and then even the churches. There's churches downtown, the same area this dude took a piss in on the church. Literally 500 feet from there, there's another church flying a pride flag. And then a church up the street from there, they have on the door during Corolla times that if you want to enter this premise, you must get your waxes and wear a face diaper if you want to enter into their church. So again, the churches are going along and getting along. First of all, they're under a 501c3 deal with the government. They have to go along with the agendas, but they get to keep their money. They don't have to pay tax. But in exchange, they have to go along with the agendas that's being pushed. That's the trade-off. So again, America absolutely is crucifying Christ every single day out here. Not physically, but spiritually. Right, so that great city in Revelation 11, that's talking about America. That's not Jerusalem. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of shit going on out here. So one thing for sure that we all know, man, is this is the end times, right? That's one thing we all around here could agree on. It's It's evident to see, somebody can't see it right now and they're just, lost. They're not only lost in the sauce, they're drowning in the sauce. Right? Like I was joking with Galapagos earlier. I was saying, this dumbass calls himself flat earth boxer. That dude, that dummy, he's not lost in the sauce. He is drowning in that sauce. This flat earth boxer dude, dude literally goes out, teach the Bible, gets into fist fights with people, and you know, messes with the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? At this point, the dude's basically, he's on a bad path. That's all I'm gonna say, man. That's all I'm gonna say. And I don't know why that dude never liked me for some reason, which I have no idea why. Like, how much of a I'll watch what I say. You want to know how pathetic that dude is? That dude literally, like, say for instance, like when I used to go on Minus Shreg stream like 3 years ago, and a flat Earth boxer was there, the dude will literally ignore me. Like, say for instance, I'll be polite and ask the dude, hey, how you doing, man? What's your thoughts on this or that? The dude will literally straight up ignore me, or always try to make an argument if he does talk. It's very pathetic and childish, that a dude in his late 20s, or actually early 30s, excuse me, early 30s, acts like a little 5-year-old. It's very pathetic and childish to me, but this is what we're dealing with out here. You have a flat earth boxer, he's definitely pathetic, and he's a buffoon and a baboon. What do you mean sudden destruction? Yo, and by the way, Fred, what is that flag that you got up as your picture there? Is that Finland, if I'm not mistaken? Hell, I live by Rich Dad saying, right? Know a little bit about a lot. So I don't need to know a whole lot about one certain subject or 5 different subjects and then know nothing about others. I'd rather know a little bit of some information about a lot of different subjects. That's the true way to take it, right? Know a little information about a lot of different subjects compared to knowing a lot of information about a few different subjects. Brother said Revelation 6, sudden destruction. You'd have to put book, chapter, and verse for me to know what one you're talking about, man. As far as I'm aware, um, you'd either be talking about Rev 11 or 16. But then again, to be fair, I would have to read over the chapter again because maybe I missed something. That could be a possibility. Hell, like say for instance, right? I'm humble when I come on here, right? I'll tell you, hey, look, I don't have all the answers. I don't got all the answers. But then what's amazing to me is I'll come on here and be humble like that. And then Perry Green will sit there. He'll literally say, I got all the answers. I absolutely know. And then he literally said, I am equal to Jesus, right? Yes, I am equal to Christ. And yet people will still come on there and they'll criticize me as being the bad guy. But then they'll have nothing to say when this dude goes on there and says that he's equal to Christ. Like, think about how strange that is. Like, how does it make sense to criticize this guy, ETT or Nathan on the internet, but have nothing to say when when this dude literally calls himself equal to Christ? You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't that a little bit strange? That seems pretty pathetic in my opinion. Oh, and by the way, quick announcement. For those that have been keeping up with the situation with Sacramento Truth Movement account, um, with my buddy Jay. He's been over the last week now, he's been dealing with a lot of copyright issues over on his channel. The channel got terminated by this guy, Pine Creek. But recently, just earlier tonight, Pine Creek was able to reach an agreement with Jay and remove the strikes. So the channel is now back up and running. So we don't know what's going to be going on there, over the next couple of months, but just for the record, so everybody knows, go and resubscribe there, or make sure you're still subscribed, because you know how YouTube, sometimes they unsubscribe people from your channel over the course of a couple months, like if you're not actively watching. So everybody should go double check that you're still subbed over there on his channel. So fortunately, he was able to get that back, and I was surprised because even though he removed the strikes, I would still think YouTube would say, well, it's done and gone because, we took it down like a week ago. We moved on to other things. I would imagine they'd say that. So I was shocked when he got the page back, because considering, what's talked about, I would think that YouTube would have kept it down. At least in all the other instances they did say, hey, he got lucky with that, right? He got lucky that even though Pine Creek took him down, they reached an agreement, but YouTube would have probably, given an extra problem, because, typically that's what they do. But hey, at the end of the day, at least he was able to get it back. So that's definitely a good thing. Hey, how you doing, Jamie? Yo, Jamie, did you see that this dude Praise and some of those other free gracers, they did a stream about the three of us. Um, who's the third person? What I'm referring to, forget the third person's name, but remember me and you, we did a show. Well, you technically did the show and I joined maybe like 3 weeks ago or something like that. Then I took and re-uploaded it, and I tagged some of these dummies in it. And they did like a 7-hour stream. It's like shit, a 7-hour stream. It's like the video was like what, 20 minutes long? How the hell are y'all gonna turn that into a damn 7-hour stream? It's very bizarre to me. And then this other dumbass, Jack Smack 77, which I call him Jackass, right? He is Jack the Ass. Hell, just like I referenced at the beginning of the stream, right? Shit, this dude Jackass, he belongs in the pair of clown shoes. So I call this dude Jackass the Clown. No, seriously, right? That dude Jackass the Clown. That is that dude's new name, right? We gotta refer to him as that, right? Jackass or Jackass the Clown. But all jokes aside, that dude recently, like maybe last week, he did a whole video about like here are the top 10 enemies of the free grace, right? Avoid these guys at all cost. And before I even watched the video, I was like, you know what? I bet all the money I have that I'm in this video. And not only am I in this video, I'm at like the last spot, meaning what? That I'm like the most severe, top enemy. Because anybody that's familiar with like top, 10 countdowns, they always start at like 10 and then work their way down to like the most severe one, right? So I was like, you know what? I already see it coming a mile away. Not only am I on their list of top 10, I am at the top of it, right? I'm like the last dude, right? By top, I mean like they're most concerned about me out of all the other guys, right? So they'll mention me last because I'm like, the biggest threat to the free grace movement. And clearly I am, right? Hey, look, ETT eats free gracers for breakfast at this point. And again, I'm not even being rude here. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm keeping it real with the people. If you see my conversations with free gracers, it's pretty ugly. And usually I'm the dude that keeps it peaceful. A lot of these guys like to, complain and, talk smack, but they end up getting, smacked. Like, me and one of my buddies, Miles, we were joking around about this dude, what's this cat? Polymouth, right? Paul was this guy, Polymouth. We'll call him Polymouth. You know, and we were joking about like, hey, look, this dude, he wouldn't even change his belief if even the Christ descended from the heavens and backhanded this dude across the face. Right? This dude jackass, even if the Christ descended from the heavens and literally bitch slapped him across the face, he wouldn't even change his belief. Right? Even if the Christ descended and backhanded this dude and told him the truth, he still would not change it. Seriously, think about that. Some of these dudes are so far gone that even if Christ descended from the heavens and backhanded them and gave them the true gospel, that still wouldn't even change their belief. Isn't that so bizarre? Some of these guys, it really is a gang. It really is a cult if you think about it, right? Like some of these dudes are free grace for life, right? Free grace for life. Again, it really is a cult. It really is a gang if you think about it. And they all think alike and act alike, right? They all move in packs. And it's funny because when you go on this guy Jack Smack's videos, everybody's kissing this guy's ass. All they'll do, oh, great video, so right on this, so right on that. You know, First of all, a lot of these dudes are probably bots, right? And even if they're real people, they're really just NPCs, right? They're really just a bunch of NPCs. Let me see. Oh, he said the flag is Alberta and my campsite. Oh yeah, he said campsite. That's what I thought you meant. You know, I've only been since you brought up camping, I'll mention this, right? I've only been camping technically one time before. However, I've stayed in a log cabin before. You can look this up on YouTube. There's a place in Florida called Family Camp, right? Or Camp Kalakwa. Look it up, Camp Kalakwa. We also will call it family camp, right? Because there was like the whole here's the whole thing, right? Like churches, they would plan like getaways with like the youth group, right? And then they would all go down to Camp Kalakwa like maybe once a year, twice a year if you're lucky, and hang out there for the weekend. So I went a couple of times. I went with my cousins the first time that we stayed in like a log cabin. But of course we got the one next to the zoo, right? So you hear the monkeys that are like just behind the fence outside the cabin, like literally 10 feet away. You can see them through the window and hear them, so that was annoying. But it was definitely an interesting experience staying in a log cabin. First time I ever done that. And I kid you not, literally one time there when I was taking a walk, there was literally a spider there that was the size of your face. Like I'm not even exaggerating here. Like it was so big, it's bigger than my hand, would literally fit across your face. That's that was crazy. The most ironic part about it though is it was literally like outside the zoo. Like it wasn't in the zoo. It was like 20 feet away from the zoo. So shit, it's like I don't know if something maybe escaped from the zoo or something, or it just so happened that it was in that area. I don't know. Cause shit, I know they have big spiders in the zoo, but I didn't know they had one out of the zoo. But yeah, as far as when I camped, let's see, I was 12, so we're talking like 10 years ago. I went with the same church group, by the way. Went to like a random campground and stayed there for we stayed a night, but the other people stayed 2 nights. But it was interesting, it was interesting camping out in like an actual tent, for once. Man, I'll tell you though, man, that ground is pretty damn cold and hard, I'll tell you that. But hey, it's certainly worth doing once or twice in your life though. Shit, in the way that things are going now, a lot of us are gonna be doing it a lot more, unfortunately, right? Shit, just like this dude Roden. What's this cat? Ronan calls himself Nazariah. Dude's always in my comment section or on Deacon streams, right? When you ever see this dude join the show, the dude's always like out and about, loud noise in the background. It's like, shit, this brother's out there. And I'm not making fun of the brother or none because he's probably in a tough situation. But, dude's out there always, in a encampment or something, so definitely, keep that brother in your prayers. Hopefully he'll get his situation, handled out, hopefully. But he's an example of someone out there that is camping, right? Here, wait a second. Brother said God said there would be a great falling away. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a huge cut on these dudes because these free gracers, they're also once saved, always saved, right? As long as you believed once, you're saved forever. Which that logically makes no sense on face value. Because even Christ said that there are going to be some people in that day who call him Lord and they're not going to be saved. Right? Matthew 7:21. Right? So not everybody that claims to be a Christian is going to get saved. Just because hey, even in James 2, even he said, so what if you have faith and have no works with it? Even the devil and demons believe on the Son of Man and they bow to him. But guess what? They're not going to get saved. Even though they accept Christ as the Son of God. Like even in Matthew 5, when Christ went to that man possessed with the legion of demons, what did the demons tell Christ? We see and know that thou art the Son of God, but give us the permission. We'll come out of the man at your word, but let us go into the herd of swine, on the mountain. And Christ gave the commandment. They came out, they obeyed what he said, and they went into the herd of swine and they drowned them in the sea. But the key word or key point here is they called him the Son of God. They believed, but that doesn't mean they're going to get saved too, right? Or according to Ace Theo, right? It's all in all, right? All in all are going to be saved. So I guess according to Ace Theo and those other universalist dummies, they believe that even demons are going to get saved, apparently, which is just outlandish. Let me see real quick. His brother said, I live full time off grid at a campground at the bottom of the mountains and riverfront campsite. Yeah, that's cool, man. That sounds pretty cool. Hell, there's a lot of dudes out here, like some of these prepper guys, that hell, they dream of having something like that. Then he said, been there since 2020. Yeah, that's cool, man. You've almost been there for like 5 years or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, but as far as the thing you brought up about falling away or whatever, um, the absolute most hardest hitting verse on this is 1 Timothy 4:1. It says, know that in the last times some will depart from the faith. So he's given a warning saying that know that in the last times some people will depart from the faith. Meaning what? That they once believed in it and then they stopped believing in it. So if it's once saved, always saved, well, how the hell does that make sense? How can somebody stop following Christ and depart from the faith and still be saved? Like, think about how strange this is. Literally, these guys told me that you could even worship Satan and be saved as long as you believed once. It's like, wow, that is amazing to me. So according to these guys, you can literally worship the devil and do children's sacrifices, but as long as you believed in Jesus like 15 years ago for 2 days, then you're saved forever. Think about how bizarre that is. Isn't that's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. But again, these are some of these weirdos on YouTube that, think they're teaching the Bible. But I got news for you, right? Just because you might own a Bible, that doesn't mean you know it, right? Just because you might have read the Bible 5 times cover to cover, that doesn't mean you qualify to teach the Bible. And what a lot of people are starting to find out on YouTube, especially on Jamie's channel, what a lot of these dudes are starting to find out is that they don't know the shit to talk the shit, right? Pardon the language, but they don't know the shit in order to talk the shit. Just like that cat earlier. Well, what was that dude? Shit, I should call that dude Tiffany. Remember that cat earlier? What was the cat? Tim, right from Jamie's channel. I call that brother Tiffany at this point. That's a great example, right? That dude on Jamie's channel, right? Babeloff's channel, right? The dude's on there, oh, polygamy this, polygamy that, it's wrong. Then I come on, the dude's, has nothing to say, right? It's like Jamie's like, oh, this guy's always, a hyper and, active. It's like, well, shit, dude is the quietest dude in here. But he got his ass humbled. That's what happened. Like, let's just keep it real, right? Let's just keep it real. Any other time the dude's all hyper or whatnot, but when I came in there, that dude humbled down. And again, I don't mean, to put myself on no pedestal, because I don't have all the answers, right? I don't have all the answers, but at least I know what I talk about, right? If I talk about such and such topic, I know the information about that topic. I'm not just coming on there, talking shit about something that I don't know anything about. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these dudes do. It's very bizarre and strange to me. Like, how the hell are you gonna come on stream and literally talk about nothing? Like, you know what I find funny? Like, there's a channel on YouTube. It's called the People's Podcast. It's funny because sometimes I've joined on there just for like 20 minutes, just to mess with people for fun, right? But it's funny because they'll literally go live for like 11 hours, 8 hours, 15 hours and talk about nothing, right? The same old garbage every other day. It's like, and it's the same, always the same people, always the same 50 people, right? It's like, don't any of you get bored ever? Just, the same old garbage day in, day out. Like, seriously, don't any of you get bored of this garbage? There's nothing interesting going on. But the shocking thing to me is they always have like 300 people watching live, which is the bizarre thing. It's like, shit, people out here find this entertaining. Just a couple of no lifes, sitting around talking about the same old garbage every other day. It's I don't find how that's entertaining, but maybe that's just me. Let me see. One thing I'll comment on in my Discord server, there was this dude in there that calls himself Ghost, right? Like nobody knows anything about this dude. Some guys like Rudy were trying to warn me and the Galapagos saying, this guy might be like some type of, agent or something. And, I use that term loosely. Um, but I was like, we'll see what happens. So, it's funny because I give the dude multiple chances, and the dude comes on, talk shit, I'll kick him out, then I'll beg to come back. He'll get kicked out another week later for doing some bullshit. Then he'll beg to come back. And it gets to the point where, you know what? I give this guy so many chances. Like the dude literally will go on to different Discord servers and talk smack. It's like, hey, look, man, you know, it gets to a point where I'm not going to let you in. And that's the point I hit, So Recently, I removed that dude, right? Gave that dude the ultimate ass kick, right? Gave that dude the boot, from the server. It's like, hey, look, I put up with it long enough. I gave you multiple chances, to get yourself right. And then, on my server, I let people say what they want, right? I use freedom of speech. So if somebody wants to come in and voice their opinion on such and such topic, you're allowed to do that, no problem. But, it comes a point where, it's too much. Like if you see some of the garbage this guy says, you know what I'm talking about. It gets to a point when it's, what, if you don't want to follow the rules, man, then you can see yourself out. It's just that simple. Like I'll give you another example, right? Like I run a successful clan on Clash of Clans, right? For those that don't know, it's just like a mobile game you can play on your phone. So I have a clan in there. If you want to look us up, the name of our clan is Just for Fun. Just for Fun. And the four is not FOR. It's the number um 4. Okay. And the leader is named Steve 4J. That's my name in the game. So if anybody out there wants to join us, you can try to join the clan. Just to put that out there. If anybody plays the game and watches, you're welcome to join in. But I bring this up, how it correlates back to this ghost character is, in our clan, we have about 50 people. Well, really, really, if you think about it, 45, because a couple people have 2 accounts in there, like a second account they will play on too. So they can get like double war attacks when we war against other clans. But nevertheless, right, we have like 45 real individuals in there. And there's guidelines that you have to follow, such as I'll give you a couple, right? You have to get a few hundred donations each month. You have to participate in clan events. If we do a war against another gang, right, another clan, you have to do your wars. You can't skip them. You have to do both of your attacks. You can't skip those. You have to aim for your target, right? If you're number 15, you hit 15. If you're number 20, you hit 20, so on and so forth. And if you don't follow the rules, we might be merciful and give you 2 chances if you do something wrong. But, it comes a point where if you're just going to keep neglecting the rules of the clan, well, then you don't belong there. It's just that simple. You know, it's um it's not hard. If you don't go along with the rules, then you got to find another camp. You got to find another clan. And if somebody got a hard time with that, that's just what it is. Uh, bear with me a second. They said they miss repent daily. Yeah, that's a good point, man. You know what I find weird though? It's good you bring that up because these guys will tell you that repentance is not even required at all. In fact, what they'll do is they'll say that those of us who teach repentance, we're actually adding to the Bible. Like, isn't that so bizarre? Like, you know what I find funny? Like, if you read John 5:14, when Christ told that man to repent, to stop sinning, lest a worse thing come upon him, they must believe that now Christ is teaching off then, because he told him to stop sinning. Just like that woman in John 8, right? Told her, go and sin no more. Literally the definition of repent, to stop turning, turn from sin, stop sinning. That's what the word means. So according to these 3 gracers, even Christ was off then. That's what these guys have to believe, right? You know, they believe even Christ is off by their logic because Christ taught repentance. Like that's all throughout the Bible. Even John the Baptist went around and taught that, right? Repentance for the kingdom of heaven's at hand. So this whole doctrine people teach about the no repentance in the Bible, I mean, is so ass backwards. It's amazing to me. Like, how can these people even have thousands of followers? And you know what I find the absolute kicker? That like this is really what I find hilarious. is they'll sit there and say that we have the popular view, right? They call us works-based salvationists, which, first of all, none of us said that you're saved just on your works. So they're literally lying on us just off the start. But they'll say that we have the most popular doctrine, but yet literally their channels have thousands upon thousands of followers. Like Jackass channel has like 12,000 subs. Praise I Am channel has like 17,000 subs, and so on and so forth. So again, free grace is like the most popular thing around, right? Everybody wants to believe in free grace. Hell, as far as I know, like 80% of Christians I go up to believe in free grace. All you just gotta believe, and then that's it. So how the hell could you tell me that's not like the most popular religious view around? Everybody wants to hear that. Like, we live in a very what's the word I'm looking for? Lazy society, right? We got people out here that don't even want to get off the couch to put a damn microwave dinner into the microwave, right? They're too lazy to do that. So might want to order DoorDash, and then they'll be too lazy to get off their ass to go to the door and pick up the order. You know what I'm saying? So how would it be a stretch of the imagination to imagine that these people, they would rather accept the doctrine that you just have to say you believe on Christ and then you're saved forever, compared to what we teach about how you have to remain in the faith. You have to believe, and then you have to stop doing sins, and you have to obey what Christ said. Obviously, people want that first option. You just have to believe and you're saved forever, compared to guidelines and restrictions. Because, people don't like restrictions. People don't like, say, for instance, if you want to follow Christ, you can't eat whatever you want. You have to follow a dietary restriction, right? People don't want to hear that. People don't want to give that shrimp, crab, and lobster. People don't want to do that. So it's a stretch of the imagination to say that the most popular belief is what we teach, because it clearly is not. It's just again, it's such a brainwashing. It's amazing to me. Yo, we got Jay in the comments section. Just as I mentioned him earlier, you can go check his channel out. Yeah, yeah, you're still a mod. Let me see. His brother said, God said, which I don't know why the brother spells without an O there, but I get what he's saying. God said he would bring a strong delusion that even the elect could be deceived, knowing that. Warning, I watch for most popular BS going around. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about, was it Matthew 24, 21, 22, if I'm not mistaken, right? That God would send a deception, right? That, even the elect, if it were possible, even the elect could have been deceived. But the truth is, it's not possible for God's elect to be deceived once they've been awoken to the facts, right? Once they came into the truth and, believed in the true faith, they can't be deceived then. But of course, before that, we all fell to deceptions. Hey, the Bible says that from the womb we all went astray. You know, so um, so yeah, man. It's again, it's just bizarre to me. How strange some of these doctrines are on the internet. It's very, very strange. Hell, we're definitely in some strange times. That's an understatement at this point. That's a damn understatement. You literally got people out here that, grown adults, dressing up like damn dogs and, going for walks. It's crazy to me. And then on the other hand, you got people out here literally like damn um bots, right? Or NPCs, literally going around dropping links on like YouTube kids to bestiality videos. It's amazing to me. But this is the stuff that's going on out here. It's very bizarre. Again, if you can't see that we're in the end times, and you're just delusional. I get what you're saying, Fred. That's all cool. No worries. Um, but yeah, it's very bizarre the garbage that people are doing out here. Very bizarre and strange. Let me see. Damn, we passed the 2 hour mark. It's been that long already. I mean, I can probably go for maybe 15 more minutes and then I'll wrap it up. If anybody watching has any question or comment, you're welcome to put it up now. It might be your last chance to do so. Just a heads up. Oh, something else that I find funny. I was looking at a picture on my second device here, and I found this picture I had saved. It's from a Jackass's channel, and he literally is like a picture I have here about some of his books that he has up. Like this dude has a book here. One of them is called Simply Believe, and it says a defense of the simplicity of Christ. The second one this dude guy got is called Soul Winning 101. And then the wording under it says a practical guide to free grace evangelism. I mean, shit, you don't need a whole damn book for that. I mean, it's very simple. All you got to do is ask somebody, "Do you believe?" And then if they say no, you just tell them about Christ and tell them believe, and you're saved forever. I mean, again, it's so simple what they believe. Even a damn, you know, elementary school student could do it. It's amazing to me. Oh, and then look, the last one. Look at this. It says once saved, always saved. Once saved, always saved, and then a practical guide on it. So again, see, as I said, the free gracers they believe in once saved, always saved. Right? As long as you believe one time, you're saved forever. Again, it's so bizarre and strange to me. It's very it's like how can any logical, reasonable person believe in this garbage? It makes no sense. Yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. But again, that's allowed out here, right? That's allowed out here, right? Like, there's nothing. Like, say for instance, right? If people saw that on the street, you'd be the bad guy to judge that, right? Like, think about how weird that is. If you seen a grown ass dude, dressed up like damn Clifford, walking on all fours on the damn leash, if you look at that strange, and then that could be criminal for disrespecting his freedom of choice. That's how some of these people would view that out here. Like, I'll give you an example, right? Like, when you encounter some of these transformers out here, you have to be respectful to them. You have to call them by their preferred pronouns. Or you could get in trouble for that. Like, I'll give you an example, right? If you are at a job and then a dude comes up, right, 6 foot tall dude that identifies as a McFlurry or son, you have to call that guy by his pronoun. If that's what he says he wants to be called by, you have to call him that. The dude wants to be called a 5-year-old, you have to call him that. And if you don't, you could get in trouble and lose your job for disrespect to a customer. It's very, very bizarre out here. Again, if you can't see America's Mystery Babylon, then you're just you're not lost in the sauce. You're drowning in that sauce. You're drowning in that sauce. Hell, and soon it's gonna be hot sauce. Inside joke, right? Inside joke. Shit, soon that's gonna be hot sauce, right? Soon that's gonna be that lake of fire. Inside joke. Oh man. Let me see. Jay said Steven Anderson, excluding his current situation, is more in line with Bible than most of these other gentlemen. Yeah, you're right. Steven Anderson, even though there's a few certainly, there's certainly some that he teaches wrong. However, I do got to give the man credit. that there's a lot that he says that is actually true, right? There's a lot he says that's actually respectable, like how he handles rainbow people, doesn't even allow them in the congregation. Hey, that compared to these other churches, he's on point. And then there's a whole nother group out there. I believe they call themselves the West Barrow Baptist Church. They always get criticism because they always go out and, protest saying, God hates, this or that group of people. America's going to get judged and, God hates, and stuff like that they have on their flyers. And typically people, criticize them and say that they're, bad, should stay away from them. But the truth is, which obviously, the name gives it away, Baptist, because they're clearly off on some things they say. But the things that they're criticized on, they're actually right on, right? All those things about how God hates some people, that's true in the Bible. That America is going to get judged, that's true. God hates rainbow people, that's true. So nothing that they're being criticized about is wrong. For a man who is spiritual and knows the precepts and knows the scriptures, you'd have to agree with them on that. Now, of course, as I said, they're Baptists, so there's certainly some inconsistencies, like they believe in a hell, so that's false. But, on the things that they're openly criticized about, they're actually right on. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, man. But yeah, we're all being oppressed out here. Like I have future a video I got of mine that I want to do a whole nother rant about, this economy and all this shit out here. I was just listening to a couple of rant videos earlier today, people in the United States that, pissed off with their living conditions, right? And, the people have every right to be because, this is terrible how everything is out here, man. I don't even know where the hell to start. Like, say, for instance, right? You can't even go out to a damn fast food restaurant without, spending hours of your hard-earned labor's worth of money, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, recently went to Taco Bell to get two boxes of food, right? Two meals for two people, right? Myself and somebody else. And I kid you not, $25 for two boxes and two drinks to go along with them. It's like, wow, $25 for two meal boxes? That's crazy to me. It's unbelievable. Like shit, you can't even go to McDonald's and get a meal for two people for like under $30. Like even say for instance, if you want to get a damn chicken sandwich or a filet o fish sandwich, both of those are gonna cost you damn $5. Say shit, $5. Working on $8 an hour, that's gonna take me like what, like nearly 40 minutes to make that? So that doesn't seem right, right? Like 40 minutes of my hard-earned labor shouldn't be enough to get me just a fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying? It's pathetic. And then these jobs are like, the workers should be grateful for this opportunity. It's like, nah, nah, Uno reverse on your ass, right? Uno reverse card on your ass. You should be grateful for me, right? You should be grateful that I am willing to show up and, bust my balls for next to nothing. You're the one that should be grateful, not me for this opportunity, which clearly it's not no opportunity, but these are just the facts that I'm spitting here. And again, my generation, right, Generation Z, we're the first generation that has a pair of balls. No, we say F the employee, F the employer, right? F them. Unlike the generations before us that are just gonna, sit there and kiss your ass, and do whatever you want. My generation has a pair of balls and says, you know what, nah, you know what? If you're gonna, disrespect us, you're gonna pay us nothing and expect us to give you, full which word I'm looking for, full respect and actually try to care about our jobs. No, hell no to that. You know, again, my generation's the one that has some sense to us. We're the first ones to stick up to this system and say, you know what, this is corrupt and we don't want to do it. We don't want to have to, bust our ass for nothing in life. Like, first of all, who the hell is happy in this society except for these people at the top that have the properties and have the cash flow and have, all these nice things. Besides them, who the hell out here is actually happy? And I can't think of a single one. You know, and that should be that way. As I quoted earlier, Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Right, and that's what we're seeing right now. And that shows you that the wicked is in authority, not the righteous. And that completely annihilates these full preterism, idiots on the internet. They check some comments. Yeah, that great point, Jay. He said my inflation is high and everything is going up, but my pay wage. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like I remember even 10 years ago, people were saying, there was a whole debate about should we pay McDonald's workers $15 an hour to flip burgers. And I think to myself, it's like shit, $15 in this economy that you couldn't even live a decent life off of 15 an hour. That's still shit money. So absolutely people at McDonald's or Burger King should be getting at least 15 an hour. Even 15 is shit money, right? Like think about how much labor that is that goes into fast food. You're constantly moving around, having to move fast, get these orders out. The kitchen's hot, all these different variables, right? It's a hard job, right? It's a hard job working in fast food. I would argue that fast food workers, they have more hard work compared to some lawyer somewhere who just has to, do some online documents and look through some type of documentation. That's an easier job compared to these fast food workers. So why the hell should they not get 15 an hour for their labor? Like, I don't get why that's like such a huge debate exactly. It makes no sense. Brother said I tried applying for EBT, but got denied because they said I make too much. But considering bills and rent, I don't have much left. Yeah, I hear you, man. You know, again, they don't really care about their people. But what they will do, though, is some of these, as they call them, illegals, right? Some people that enter this country, with or without the consent of the government. They'll give these people, checks, for 10 grand, right? Free housing, food cards, all of this stuff, right? But the people who actually live here and, work the 9 to 5 every other day, they don't get nothing, right? They don't have nothing for us. Right? They're quick to spend your money though, but when you need help, they're not there for you. And the quicker that people learn this fact, the sooner people wake up. Like, I'll give you an example, right? Like these people affected by these hurricanes down in Florida and, North and South Carolina and whatnot. A lot of these people, all they got from the government was like $750, right? So, they got a right to be pissed off. Like some of these people literally lost loved ones. They lost everything they owned, their storages, their homes, their vehicles. And all the government can give them is $750. But yet, literally, the NATO alliance, which America is the head of it, they've literally given Ukraine like $500 billion. If you don't know how much that is 1,500,000,000 times. Half a trillion is 1,000,000,000. Let me say this, a trillion would be 1,000 times. Or, I mean, excuse me, let me do the math again. A billion is a million 1,000 times, so a trillion would be a billion 1,000 times. Stick with me here, I know it's confusing. So half a trillion would be $1 billion, 500 times would be half a trillion. Right, so that's what Ukraine has gotten over the last almost 3 years by the NATO alliance, when you factor in all of the things being sent over, right? Food for the civilians, tanks, missiles, ammunition, guns, armory, physical armor for the troops, drones, all this stuff adds up. Hell, the tanks, the helicopters. Again, we could go on and on and on. So it's clear to see how they got $500 billion from America and the NATO alliance altogether. But when the people that live here need help, they have nothing for you. Just see real quick. Let me see. Well, I'm gonna have to wrap this up in a minute or two here. I thank everybody for stopping by. If anybody made it to the end of the stream, go ahead and put hashtag. Let's see. We'll say hashtag water, just as to go with the slogan. Hashtag water. If anybody made it to the end of the stream. I might go for 2 more minutes. But again, this is your last chance. Last chance. If anybody has a question or comment, this is your last chance to put it up. This brother said, first Gen X before political correct came along in the 90s. Shit, I can't say nothing about it, man. I wasn't even alive yet. I was born in the early 2000s. So, shit, I can't say anything about the 90s. I wasn't there. You know what? It's funny because, whenever I go on these streams, people always think I'm like in my late 20s, early 30s. Like seriously. And then I tell them I'm like 21. It's like, oh shit, really? It's like, it's funny. Like one time I was on a stream and they brought up September 11th. I was like, hey, look, shit. Y'all remember where you were when that happened? It's like, shit, I was still in the spiritual realm, right? Hell, I was still up with Christ in the spiritual realm. When that happened, I wasn't even here. His brother asked, what's your opinion about Sam Shimon? Again, just like every other Christian, Sam Shimon doesn't know what's going on. However, there are a few subjects I would agree with him on, like the whole, age of marriage thing. He was right on that, right? Where everybody would criticize, he was actually right on that. So I got to give him credit for sticking up for what the scriptures say on that, whereas everybody else would just, bend to what the United States says without question. So he's right on that. That's one thing. Luke said, I've got to go. Yeah, that's cool, Luke. Thanks for stopping by, man. All rounded out to 2 hours and 25 minutes for my OCD, if anybody knows what that is. Yeah, that's cool, Luke. Don't be late for your meetings, man. Yeah, I haven't even finished that coffee I got in here. Yeah, quick story before I leave. I was at uh I was at the damn Dollar Tree the other day, and they had these Victor Allen's iced coffees or iced lattes for 50 cents. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get a couple of these. Usually, like I buy the brand, I like their peppermint version or the pumpkin spice limited edition they have for November and October, right? So I buy those, but I found the vanilla and the mocha one or whatever for 50 cents. So damn, I got get a couple of them. They're actually Actually pretty good. I mean, hell, for 50 cents, you can't complain, right? I think they're only 8-ounce cans, so I mean, $1.25 is a little steep for an 8-ounce can, but I've seen worse. Hell, like if you go to a damn gas station out here, I literally know one's out here that they'll want literally $3 for an 8-ounce Red Bull. Say shit, $8. I mean, $3 for an 8-ounce Red Bull. That's it's pretty bad. I'll take this as the final question before I end, just because you asked. Since you asked, I'll answer it, but this will be the last one before I sign out here. The brother asked, "Is Trinity biblical? Why some Christians struggle on Trinity versus oneness?" Um, as a Hebrew Israelite, our answer and say that the Trinity, we don't hold to it. I think there's plenty of places where Christ makes himself different from the Father, like in Matthew 26, Christ prayed to the Father and told him, if it be his will, let this cup pass from him. Another good one, in John 14:28, Christ said the Father was greater than him. Another one, Revelation 3:12, Christ said that he has a God. After he already ascended to heaven, he said that he had a God. He said it 4 times in it. Read it, Revelation 3:12. Um, there's more places we could go on it, but just to keep it simple, um, Christ is the Son of God, but that doesn't mean that he's the Father himself. And as far as verses that call Christ God, well, the Bible even calls men gods in Psalms 82, verse 6. It says, "For ye are gods, the sons of the Most High." The Bible calls Satan God in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 4, where it says, "The God of this world has blinded the minds of them who who didn't believe." So that answers that question just briefly. Trey said, "I never believed in the Trinity. It just makes God and Jesus, um, if they're the same guy, sounds insane." Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But yeah, I'm gonna close the stream up. I thank everybody for stopping by, and hashtag Walter if you made it to the end.